Well, my next guest is echoing the call for the Prime Minister to step down. Celina Caesar-Chavannes was a Liberal MP from 2015 to 2019 before resigning as a member of the Liberal caucus and sitting as an independent. Tonight, she joins us from Whitby, Ontario. Celina, thank you for taking the time on this incredible day in Canadian politics. First off, what's your reaction to Freeland resigning from Cabinet?
You know, I think it was the right thing for Minister Freeland to do. She is a general in the Trudeau government. To be asked to step back or to no longer be the Deputy Prime Minister or Minister of Finance is, I feel like history is repeating itself over again with what happened in 2019. And I think that this is a little bit more precarious for Canadians writ large because of the fact that we have a new U.S. administration coming in less than a month that is proposing tariffs of 25% that is going to affect the most vulnerable Canadians at this point. And I think that we needed stability. We needed some kind of self-regulation on behalf of the Prime Minister to really think this through before putting Canadians in further jeopardy. This is going to have ripple effects of epic proportions going forward.
It certainly is a tense time, and Freeland claims Trudeau told her on Friday he no longer wanted her to be finance minister. What message do you feel that was sending?
There's a number of messages that we're sending. The first one, I think the most important one for the listeners and for Canadians, is that Chrystia Freeland was not saying to the Prime Minister that she didn't feel like something was okay. She was challenging a fiscal move, an economic move that in the long term did not serve Canadians well with respect to the GST and the cuts that we're seeing happening. Immediate term, maybe it'll help a few, but in the long term, it wasn't. Canadians are struggling right now, struggling with groceries, they're struggling through the holidays, they're struggling with housing, they're struggling with a whole number of things that this particular move was not going to help in the long term. The second message that it sends is that when someone challenges you, and I feel this intimately, when someone challenges you as a leader in the center of our democracy, that it's so easy to just throw that person under the bus. If it is a woman, and I don't want to make this gendered, but you have to recognize, look at the body count of women, Jody, Jane, myself, Leona, Mariam Monsef, Ava Nassef, Chrystia Freeland. The body count is racking up. And I hate to sound emotional on this, but when you are challenging a leader of a G7 country and they respond with just throwing you under the bus, that is not just Chrystia Freeland that's going under the bus. That is a lot of Canadians who are going to be affected by what she was trying to get the Prime Minister to consider.
I can hear the emotion in your voice and that this is striking a very deep chord with you. I also understand that you reached out to Chrystia Freeland today. What did you say to her?
I just wanted her to know that I was proud of her. I was proud of her in the decision, and I wanted her to know that I was there for her. I think that this moment is it's like deja vu. It's like feeling this moment again. It's feeling that exact same feeling of saying, you're doing something that is wrong. You're doing something that Canadians deserve better. And when we challenge, when you consider yourself a feminist government, when you consider yourself a feminist who believes diversity is our strength, and as soon as you challenge, because you have the intellectual capacity and the fortitude and the courage to challenge someone whose name is Trudeau, and that just gets dismissed, or you get your life sort of turned upside down, I wanted her to know what I wanted to feel in those moments in 2019, and I think Jane and Jody wanted to feel in 2019, that I saw her, that I wasn't going to let her hang. And I did the same thing for Jody in 2019, and I'll absolutely do the same thing for Chrystia Freeland. This is a moment of leadership for Canadians where we need to say enough is enough of a leader who decides that whenever he is challenged on something that someone else has an authority to speak on, like economics, that he's just going to throw them away, and that is not good enough.
Celina, as you mentioned, you resigned from the Liberal caucus. What do you think now? Does Freeland's resignation signal that other party members are losing the same faith in the Prime Minister's leadership now?
One would hope, but I was paying attention to people coming out of caucus. And see, this is the thing with the bubble that is Ottawa. The bubble that is Ottawa is that people are going to be trying to jockey for that position. It's like high school. You know, I want to enter the cool kids camp and somebody is no longer a cool kid, so I'm going to try to enter that spot. And I really think that the Liberals need to decide what is in the best interest of Canadians. Again, I'm going to keep putting this conversation back on the Canadians that are most vulnerable as a result of this decision. The Canadians that are having a hard time during the holidays, the ones that are struggling right now, and there's a lot of them that are doing that. We have the privilege to sit on TV and talk about this like if it's a political thing, but it's not. The ripple effects have long-term impact, and I hope that the Liberals who have been elected to serve the people of their constituency decide that they are going to say enough is enough and go into future caucus meetings or after the holidays, go back and say, this is the time that we need stability with the Trump administration, but we also need to have stability for the future of Canadians who are really looking to a federal government to make sure that things are handled properly when it comes to economics, when it comes to their healthcare, when it comes to their ability to pay for the things that they need. That is what they're looking for. And the rest of the caucus needs to stand up and say that this is what they're going to do for the constituents that elected them with trust to be there.
Mm-hmm. Celina, in order for those changes to happen, does Trudeau need to step down?
Trudeau needed to step down a very long time ago. Trudeau has been like Teflon for some reason, and I'm not sure why he continues to stick through the SNC, through WE scandal, through electoral reform, you name it. And I said on Twitter earlier today that these gimmicks that Chrystia Freeland referred to have been happening for a long time, and I think he's really gotten to a point where his emotional intelligence, when it comes to his self-awareness, his self-regulation around these issues, have been completely distorted. So the emperor actually believes that he has clothes on when he has no clothes on, and to the detriment of people who are really looking for a little bit of relief right now. And now we're caught up in this distraction. It's up to Trudeau to just have the self-awareness, the emotional intelligence that is so, you look at the research, it is valued by leadership. It is twice as important as technical or cognitive skill to have that emotional intelligence. He needs to have that emotional intelligence at this critical juncture in the history of Canada, with a Trump administration, with geopolitical issues, with climate change, with all of the things that are happening, for him to be able to step down. And I would hope that over the holidays, Mr. Trudeau, if you listened to me before, we had this conversation in August of 2019. Stop being the worst, the better of three evils. Do what you know Canadians need you to do and step down. That is it. And if he doesn't, this is a wake-up call for Canadians to give him the message that he needs at the polls. He needs to go.
Celina, that's a very direct message. And thank you for taking the time to speak with us and for being so open. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
That was former Member of Parliament Celina Caesar-Chavannes.